In 2021, Samsung finally released a smartwatch with Google's Wear OS. The company is back with a sequel, the Galaxy Watch 5. There was a lot of excitement about last year's watch. Now, Samsung looks to refine the experience. There are two different models this year, the Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro. This review is for the 40mm Galaxy Watch 5. The Pro model has a larger battery and a more durable design, but the features are mostly the same. In terms of hardware, the standard Galaxy Watch 5 is made from aluminum, the Pro model is titanium. The bigger story, though, is the new Sapphire display. Sapphire is significantly stronger than the previously used Gorilla Glass displays. Theoretically, the Sapphire display should stay scratch-free forever, though it can still get cracked. Sticking with durability, the Watch 5 has an IP68 water and dust resistant rating and is MIL STD 81OH compliant. The water resistance goes up to 50 meter, making it a perfect swimming companion. This is a watch that can handle you day to day. Under the display is an Exynos W920 processor and 1.5 GB of RAM. Samsung watches run Wear OS very well, even during the initial setup, which is where smartwatches can be bogged down with installing apps. The watch felt snappy. I haven't run into any lag or bugginess. Overall, this is an attractive watch that can easily fit right in with your personal style. It has a very durable display, buttons that feels good, and solid performance. A smartwatch with bad battery life is almost worse than a phone with bad battery life, since they are more annoying to charge. The Galaxy Watch 5 has a slightly bigger battery than last year's Watch 4. Whether or not that makes a difference to you depends on your usage. People who use their watch for sleep tracking may notice more improvements than others. As someone who charges every night, I have never run into the lower battery warning. After an average day of taking the watch off the charger around 8 am and using it without the display always on, I end up the day around 11 pm or 12 am with over 50% remaining. I could easily use the always on display feature and still make it through the day. The days where battery life struggles a bit more when I'm tracking activities. Tracking a run for an hour takes up a decent chunk of the battery, but I'm still able to make it through the day. You may run into battery anxiety if you are doing a lot of workout tracking, sleep tracking, and using always display on. In general, I give the battery life a passing grade. It's not what I would consider stellar battery life, but it's perfectly in the line with what I expect from most smartwatches. Samsung has also finally switched the charger to Usbc, which makes for faster charging and easier traveling. The Galaxy Watch 5 runs Wear OS 3.5 with Samsung's One UI 4.5 enhancements. Now that Google Assistant is finally available on Samsung watches, you are getting the best of Google, Samsung on one device. It's a nice blend of functionality. The software experience is very good. Everything is only a couple of swipes away. I never feel like I'm using the watch too long for accomplish something. From the watch face, each direction takes you somewhere different. Quick settings, widgets, apps, and notifications. The biggest problem with Samsung watches before the company switched to Wear OS was lock of apps. That's no longer an issue. You can now download apps and watch Face directly from Google Play Store. Bixby and some other Samsung apps are still present, but it's easy to ignore the ones you don't like. Google Assistant can be set as default assistant app and be mapped to long pressing the home button. Samsung Play is locked to long pressing the back button, but You can select Google Wallet by double pressing the home button. Wear OS with one UI is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's Google, it's Samsung, and they mostly work well together. One of the biggest areas of focus for smartwatches is fitness, and Samsung has a lot to offer. The combination of hardware and software makes the Watch 5 a worthy workout companion. Samsung Health app is much more comprehensive than Google Fit. You can track a huge variety of workouts and activities, record your sleep, measure your heart rate, ECG, steps, blood oxygen, and body composition. The thicker design is thanks to an improved sensor, which Samsung says makes better contact with your skin. I haven't noticed a huge difference in the data collected by the sensor, but I will also never felt like old sensor was inaccurate. Speaking of that new sensor, it includes the ability to measure temperature. However, it's not terribly useful. There is no way to take a temperature reading on demand. It's apparently being used for sleep tracking and maybe put to more use in the future. Personally, fitness is one of the areas that I care about the most for smartwatches. Samsung Health is an impressive suite of fitness tools on its own, but it's even better when paired with a Samsung Watch. For my money, Samsung stands only behind Apple when it comes to consumer-friendly fitness smartwatches. Before wrapping up, we should talk about the second Galaxy Watch model this year, the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. So, what's the difference? As briefly mentioned, there are a couple of things to note. The Watch 5 Pro has a 590 mAh battery, whereas the 40mm Watch 5 has a 284 mAh battery. The 44mm Watch 5 battery is 410 mAh. That's a big difference, and it equates to the Watch 5 Pro being able to last nearly 3 days on a charge. Size is another big difference. The Pro model has the same size display as the 44mm Watch 5, 1.36 inch, but the body is slightly wider and thicker. It's a big watch, coming in at 46 mm in diameter and 10.5 mm thick. The body is made of titanium as well. Basically, the Pro version is bigger, beefier version of the standard Watch 5. You can get better battery life, a larger footprint, and essentially all the same features as the standard Watch 5. All of that comes at a price $450 to be exact. It's time to answer the big question. Is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 worth buying? As always, that depends on where you are coming from and the phone you use. However, I will say that Watch 5 is a better choice than the Watch 5 Pro for most people. The Galaxy Watch 5 is easily the closest competitor to the Apple Watch. Samsung has done an impressive job at revealing Apple's great fitness features. It's not quite on the same level, but it's very close. If you want the Apple Watch equivalent on Android, the Watch 5 is your play. If you already have the Galaxy Watch 4, I don't think the Watch 5 is a significant upgrade. You won't notice a ton of improvements compared to the Watch 4. However, Tizen-based Samsung Watch owners will notice a big difference. Google Apps and a much better app ecosystem can't be overstated. Plus, you are not giving up the Samsung features, The Galaxy Watch 5 may not be as flashy as last year's Watch 4, Samsung's long-awaited return to Wear OS. However, this is a super solid, polished, and refined smartwatch. It perfectly blends the line between fitness, companion, and high-class watch.